Hope everybody's doing good.
I'm doing good.
Doing good? Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Another day in pandemic paradise. Pretty awesome.
That's accurate.
Yeah. So as we're getting it posted in the owners group and everything else, and waiting for everybody to join up, we got some stuff to talk about making. So what I've been doing is testing tons of stuff on the 300X right here. So I got this printing up, and I've been printing in TPU and printing out some flexible TPU stuff. So I printed these, which as I was practicing and kind of testing out the settings. So these are flexible TPU grips that are assisted devices that I found on My Mini Factory. And I'll put the link in there too so you can find the awesome designer that made these. And it's made so you can grip drumsticks easier. And as a drummer, I'm all about that kind of thing. So these are specifically made for an 8-year-old's hand. So you can hold the drumsticks and grab onto them and then they won't come out of your hand. So it's a perfect like assisted devices use, which is kind of some of the things that we're going to be talking about today are assisted devices and one of the cool ways that 3D printing is being used in schools, and my favorite way that's being used. So this is the main like flexible test I've been doing. And then I'm also printing right now as we're talking a little rubber ducky. So I'm printing another one of these right now.
Cute.
This little one right here. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Quack, quack. So everybody like some little rubber duckies?
Do you want me to sing the
So.
song, the Sesame Street?
Is there a song?
Ducky, you're the one. You make bath time lots of
I don't know what that is. Rubber ducky. I mean, I like that song, but I didn't know that was a.
Hey, you don't have
I've
to
never even
make
heard
a
about it before.
child who's
I guess not.
watching Sesame Street. Consider yourself
That's
lucky.
awesome. So yeah, that's what I've been working on, and some other testing some long prints. What about you, Peyton? Peyton, I'm joined by Peyton. I guess I should have said that at the beginning as we're getting in here, but Peyton's in here with me, helping me out
Hi
in the
guys,
chats.
I'm monitoring
So.
comments, mediating, monitoring.
Queen
Yeah,
moderator.
I have not been doing any of our CNC 3D printing projects, but I did iron on a patch into my daughter's sweatshirt.
That's sweet.
Something she stained the first wear, so.
What was it a patch of?
It's a flower, yeah, like a bouquet,
Sweet.
right.
So just like, it was just a stain that wouldn't come off, so it's like,
She-
let's fix it.
she
It's
wore
not broken, let's
right.
fix it.
She wore it once, and she got some sort of stain that would not wash out on it, some sort of cranberry-looking stain. And I was like, yeah, let's not throw it away. Let's reuse.
Yeah. Reuse, recycle. Exactly. Make something.
I like it.
That's awesome.
A couple people are talking to you, Drew.
Sweet. How are they doing?
Brad says, "Sup, my man.
Hey, Brad.
Working but listening. Don't tell the boss."
I won't tell anybody. And nice, I saw some of your comments about CNC. I'm glad you got your M2 up and running. That's awesome.
Yeah. Nick Barros says, "Sorry I couldn't join you guys today. I'll be in and out throughout the stream, but he's going to join us another time."
Yeah, you're gonna be next week, I think, right? I'm pretty sure we talked about Sarah. I think Sarah talked about you. Probably we'll talk about that at the end. I think Nick will be joining us next week.
He'll
Which
be
will be
joining
awesome.
us eventually.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll get it going.
Brad says,
Not next week, then soon.
"You make bath time so much fun." And Patrick says, "You're the one." Everyone knows.
Everybody knows this song but me. I don't know how I missed this. Like, I love Sesame Street, and like,
Girl, I'll play you the song after
Yeah.
this. Or do you want me to
we'll play
find
it. You can play it. Yeah, you can find it and play it. That
You
sounds
don't
sweet.
want me to sing it?
So let's talk about some of the like news and stuff going on. It's Prime Day. I don't know if you guys know it's Prime Day. Everybody knows it's Prime Day. So we got 15% off the M2 and the Maslow. So you can get $150 off on the M2s. You can go check that out on Prime with all kinds of other stuff. We were just talking about other things. I got a new webcam that I can use for this, so I can switch back and forth and somebody like, look at this, and like grab onto it and move it around. Because my other one decided it didn't want to work. So I got that. And Peyton, you said you got some stuff too.
Yeah, I got I got some Crest white strips.
Yeah.
And a mattress topper for my bed. You know, you spend half your life in your bed.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I'm a big fan of. Like, if you're going to spend half your life doing something, you can make it quality for sure.
My husband says, like, you spend half your life in one and you spend half your life in the other, talking about shoes
Yeah.
in your bed.
I mean, no, I'm all about like getting a nice pair of shoes too. I got a nice pair of boots. I'm excited. It's coming up on boot season. Then I can wear those, and yeah, it'll be awesome.
It's about to be 80 degrees today.
I know, right? So the next thing that we got going on for news is our Halloween contest. So if those are all that don't know, we are doing a Halloween contest where anything that you can create, either you print something or you can take it and CNC something, anything that you have created. And for that contest, all you have to do is make it and then post a picture of it on Instagram or Facebook and tag it Maker Halloween and Maker Made CNC. Maker Halloween 20, I think. Maker Halloween 20. And then Maker Made CNC. So you can just tag those things in there. And that's going to go until the last month of October. So super excited about that. So the next thing that kind of moves us into what we're going to be talking about today is 3D printing in schools. So that's something that I've been doing a long time, something that I'm super excited about to talk about with y'all today is making in the classroom. So there's lots of things that you can do with 3D printing, and it's pretty much being used in 3 big ways in the classroom. So the first big way, you got a guess, Peyton? What do you think? I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you think? How do you think 3D printing has been used in the classroom?
In the past or like now?
Just anything. How do you think? Put you on the spot.
I mean, to print pencil cases.
There we go. So like practical stuff, prototypes.
Okay,
Yeah.
prototypes.
So that's one of the big ways is like making prototypes. So having students go through that design iterative process and learn how to create something and then how to change it and how to make it better. And then you're working on things that might be going on with the machine. You might be working on things that might be going on with your design program. You might be working on your slicing program. There's lots of different things that you can do to kind of test it and work on it. And that's one of the really cool things about 3D printing is it's perfect for learning all of those transferable skills. And prototyping is a great way to do that. So it's a way that's being used in a lot of libraries and science classrooms and stuff like that. Another big way is by models and creating different types of models and designs. So a good example of that is like this cell right here. So you can take a visual representation of something and then you can 3D print it. So you could do maps and cells. You could do any sort of historical artifact. There's some incredible sites out there where like the Smithsonian has 3D scanned some stuff. There's Scan the World where you can get all kinds of old statues and things like that and really take something that was in like a textbook format or on a screen and really make it real. So modeling is a really great way that you can kind of see how different things work in the classroom, which is really cool. And then the third way, and my favorite way that 3D printing is being used in the classroom, is when it's being used to actually make the world a better place. So if you just get technology into kids' hands, it's incredible to see the types of stuff that they do with it. So the company that I used to work for, NWA 3D, we did a 3D printing competition, and we have some stuff that I want to share you from our 3D printing competitions with the EAST Initiative. So for those of you that might not be aware, the EAST Initiative is an organization of student-based learning where they basically take community service projects and they use technology to make their communities better. And they have 3D printers, they have computers so they can make apps, they do stuff with ArcGIS, they do all kinds of really incredible stuff, both with technology and without technology, even like gardening and things like that. They've done some really cool stuff. So these projects are specifically about 3D printing. So the first one that I want to talk to everybody about is one that we did right here. So this is a crutch that was made for an American Girl doll. So I'm going to switch my screen and let the students talk about it because I've got a video of them. And kind of bear with me here because as I kind of switch around, it might get a little wacky as I change from one screen to another. Gotta find all my screens. I know, right? There we go. There it is. Found it. All right. So then we get the infinity screen. And
the motivation for this project was actually installed as a young girl. Impossible societal standards were encouraged by the dolls being put on the market. We wanted to create something to help encourage a positive self-image, one that celebrates differences.
My youngest daughter, Hannah, 7 years ago, she came down with the autoimmune virus called transverse myelitis, which paralyzed her from the waist down. She walks with a crutch, but now that she's gotten older, she's realized that she is slightly different.
To tailor to this difference, we used Tinkercad to model and print pieces to create a doll-sized crutch matching hers.
And when she opened the doll up and seen the letter and seen its crutches, it was a very special moment, not something that you can really put into words.
So you can do some really, really awesome stuff with 3D printing. And they designed this, and they actually went through 7 different iterations as they designed it and measured it and used with Tinkercad, which is a free program that you can use, tinkercad.com. They used it to design this part. So they went through design iteration after design iteration. They made several different colors of it for different types of shoes and clothes that American Girl dolls wear. And the most incredible thing about this is neither one of them had ever 3D printed or 3D designed something before. These 2 high school students started with this project. And they were in different classes. So they actually met in different classes, and they met at lunch and after school, and they started in October, and they got it done in time for Christmas because they wanted to have it for her for Christmas. So they worked on it and got together and managed their time. And when I was talking to them, like, what did you learn the most in this project? That was the one thing that they talked about, was managing their time. So not only did they make an incredible thing to help change someone's life, but they learned all these other skills in the process too. And that's what's really awesome about 3D printing, because there's so many things in there that you can learn about.
That's precious.
So yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, it's and just something that you wouldn't think is that you can do with 3D printing, but just creating a modification to something that already exists is an incredible use of 3D printing. So let's go ahead and watch another one. So this one right here that I'm going to talk about, this is a solution that holds a J-hook for a door. So it's for a lockdown door at a school that was designed. And I'll go ahead and show the video for this one too. Switching videos around to find them. Found it. I'm going to get the buttons down so I can like quickly switch between my screens.
I will
That'll help.
In my project, I've been working to solve a district-wide problem in our schools
We
using
got volume
3D.
on that one?
Over the summer, J-hooks like the one shown were installed on every classroom door in the mountain.
My net has some. Is that volume coming out? We got volume
In
coming
my
out.
project, I've been working to solve a district-wide problem in our schools using 3D printing. Over the summer, J-hooks like the one shown were installed on every classroom.
Well, as you can see, this one, there might be something going on with the sound a little bit, but you can see how he's talking about the different prototypes that he is utilizing for this part right here. So they went through several different designs of it, and you can see the image of it right there on the right here. You can see this image where this mechanism was used to lock the door down. So he designed this in Fusion 360 is where this was made, and it's also a really awesome use because it's a practical thing that you can utilize to change something that, we'll go back to the main screen there, that you can take to change and modify something that doesn't exist. So they were looking at that, and it was going to be tens of thousands of dollars to get these all over the school, but they wanted to make one that was safe, that teachers could utilize. So that's why it kind of is stuck out right here, and that's what he talks about in his video, where you can get your hand behind it to be able to quickly pull the J-hook off and then lock it in place, because they were just banging back and forth and getting stuck when the doors were closing and opening and stuff like that. So that's why they designed this part. And then it has this little pin, which is the locking pin. That's what slides into this slot right here. So you first look at this and think, oh, well, that doesn't seem too hard of a design. Well, actually, this was prototyped a bunch of times too, because this might look on the surface that it's simple shapes, but it's not, because it had to fit the J-hook perfectly to snap in place. So this, it's kind of disguised as a pretty complicated part. You know, it might not look like it at first glance. So another really awesome way that 3D printing is being utilized in the classroom. So let's see, we've got another one here, but this one I'm going to test before I play.
Hi guys.
There we go. Okay, so this one I know is working. Something must have just been up with the sound on the other one. So I've got another one that I'm going to talk about. We're going to do like rapid fire to go through these. So that's this one right here. And I'll let Jeremy talk about his project.
Jeremy from Similar Elementary. So the Shower Museum of the Ozarks came to us about this lighting problem. They've had the same Shrek lighting fixtures since 1991, which the company that has sold them these parts have been out of business for 25 years. It's time for them to upgrade to LEDs, but they wanted to salvage these parts that the housings that they've already have established. So that leads us to this part that they need. They needed 25 replicas of this guy, and so we got to work. In the end, we saved the Shower Museum about $10,000 by restoring the majority of the exhibit lighting. Thanks, guys.
I'm moving around. Yeah, I was playing with this this right here where we're watching Jeremy. So this right here, this is what Jeremy made. So it's a LED light mechanism that was also designed in Tinkercad, and this fits in place and it locks in place to hold a light into a rack. So it locks in place on the rail system right here, and this company was actually out of business, so they reverse engineered it and then designed this part right here. So that's what he made in Tinkercad. So you can do something that's already exists, you can just copy it and then make that design again, and then you can rock that out. So it doesn't have to be something that you completely design from scratch. They tried to actually 3D scan it, which we'll probably do one of these live streams to talk about 3D scanning, and they tried to do that, but it's really hard. 3D scanning is pretty difficult. So they went through a bunch of iterations with that, and then they decided, well, let's just go ahead and reverse engineer it. So they made this, which was a super complicated part. This is like, I would say the most complicated, if not one of the most complicated things I've ever seen made inside of Tinkercad, and it was all dimensionally accurate too, because it had to fit the light in place so it could lock in there. And as Jeremy mentioned, it saved the Shiloh Museum, which is a local history museum, 10 grand that it would take to replace their entire lighting system. So
So cool.
it's super awesome.
Will you talk more about Tinkercad?
Yeah, sure. So as several of these students have been using, so Tinkercad is the perfect like beginner program to jump into 3D printing. So you use 3D shapes, so shapes that already exist, so like squares and circles and things like that, and you can combine them together and then create holes and things like that. And you can make complicated shapes like this too. So this is just with already 3D shapes where you can kind of put holes in it, and then you can combine other shapes together to make your design. So traditional CAD programs, you draw something in 2D and then you extrude it out into 3D. So that's how it was made in Fusion 360 and like Autodesk Inventor and SolidWorks and lots of those types of programs. But Tinkercad, you already start with those 3D shapes, so it's perfect for kids to jump into, but also I use it for quick fixes and stuff too, because it's like 5 minutes, you can modify a part and you can make something. So it's a really quick way that you can design something for 3D printing. So I really like it for that too, and it's free. It's awesome. Yeah, it's made by an awesome company named Autodesk, which you might have heard before. Same makers of Fusion 360 too.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty awesome for sure.
Well, I've been soliciting questions. Okay, finally
Yeah,
got one.
we've got some questions. Sweet.
Okay, May Johnson says, I like using F360. I can use the same design file on M2 and on 3D printer.
That's awesome. Yeah, so that is one of the really cool things about digital manufacturing is like you can use that design, and then you can either do subtractive manufacturing where you're cutting it out like the M2 right there, or you can do additive manufacturing like the 3D printer right here where you're actually designing and printing it on the 3D printer. So you can do both of those with that same file. It's just a different way that you would export it, in a different way to kind of change it around. And when you're designing something, you can take those things into effect too, of whether it's going to be cut out of something or whether it's going to be built upon itself. So you can make shapes and make designs that can only be made through CNC or only can be made through 3D printing, which is really awesome about Fusion. So for sure, it's really cool.
Wasn't really a question, it was more of a comment, but it was good to have that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've been wondering, like, what you could 3D print Halloween, like a Halloween mask type thing. Is that something you could do?
So yeah, absolutely. So I know like I'm a big fan of the Avatar. So the Blue Spirit is a really cool one that's out there. I know, it's like a live action one. Yeah.
I don't know, I think they filmed second and third iterations of Avatar after, what, 20
That's sweet. Yeah. So yeah, I heard it was maybe there's gonna be like some live action stuff, or yeah, I'm not really sure. So yeah, with that and like the Blue Spirit is a mask that you can print, and we printed it a while back in glow in the dark, so it would like actually glow out of like glow in the dark filament, and it was super cool. I know somebody that made a like Darth Maul cosplay too, so like then 3D printed the whole thing, like the whole top and all of it, and then modified it with some foam and paint and some other stuff too, and it turned out to be super awesome. So yeah.
Patrick was saying that they maybe can't hear me, so if you could repeat the
Oh yeah,
questions.
that I totally will do that. That's true, because you
So
probably
I
don't
was
have a
asking
mic.
you about Halloween.
Yeah, he was asking me about Halloween. I'm just talking to myself. I'm just chatting. Yeah.
Okay, there's a question here that which you can repeat from Dan Connell. I have the M300. I can print PLA all day long, but when I try to print above 225 degrees, I get a firmware failure, and the printer stops responding. Any
So
ideas?
like on the nozzle, it's doing that. So I would say it could be a couple different things. So that could be an error with the thermistor. or something like that. So if you could send a message to support@MakerMade or support@MakerMadeCNC, then I'll get with you and see if we can get to the bottom of it, because it could be a couple different things. It's probably something to do with the thermistor. It could be something loose, or sometimes that's what takes the temperature in your nozzle. And if that gets an incorrect reading, or too hot or too cold, then something could happen that's weird. And sometimes it's just loose. So we can check that out and then give you a couple things to try, because it could be like a rabbit hole of things to kind of dig into. So we can kind of knock them out like one at a time and get in there. So yeah, absolutely. To figure it out. Cool. So we've got another one to talk about. So let me go ahead and I'm going to prime this one up here. So I've got one more student project to share today. So go ahead and
hey, I'm Ian Tom.
Here. There we go. And then as I'm getting faster at switching these.
Hey, I'm Ian Thompson.
I'm Mason Corley.
And we're here to tell you about our 3D printed up submission, Rocker Switch. Now, our problem is that the switches on our buses at Clinton High School, after years and years of use, they wear out. And we have developed a 3D printable solution that replaces that switch with our own.
Our client is Paul Maddox from the Transportation Department. He is the Transportation Director at Clinton High School, and what we are delivering is the rocker switch itself.
What makes this real is our client, our real objective, and our physical solution.
So they made the rocker switch for all of their school buses, and you can kind of see it right here. We can kind of like zoom in. So it rocks back and forth because they are expensive to replace. And a lot of their school buses are older, and switches are different sizes and things like that. So they actually made this, and then they made this removable, this tool as well, to be able to pop it off. And this was incredible because they made not only the project, but the tool itself. And they designed this in Fusion too. So Fusion 360, another awesome program to utilize. And one of the difficult things about this is, if you can kind of see, there's this little pillar right here that kind of sticks out. And that's hard to 3D print. So like I printed this one here at an angle. You can kind of see the different ways. So like this one was printed upside down, so it had to have supports on it right here. And this one was printed on its side, so this side didn't come out the best. So they had to figure out the best orientation to print this delicate part for it to work. And then they also paired it with the tool. And that's a way that astronauts use 3D printing. So on the International Space Station, they 3D print stuff all the time, where they'll get files sent to them, then they'll 3D print them, usually specific tools and something that they can utilize that's for a specific job and a specific purpose. And then they can go and they can tighten that bolt that needs to be tightened, or fix something that needs to be fixed on the International Space Station. And then when they're done with it, well, then they grind up the filament and then reuse it again. So I thought it was really awesome that they also made the tool and the switch together. So you can do things that can improve your school community. The students are doing things that are improving their community at large, changing one person's life or changing a bunch of people's lives. But there's so many ways that 3D printing is being used to learn so much more than just finding something online and printing it. Because that is an awesome part about 3D printing, that you can just find a file that's out there. If you have an older car or something like that, you could find a part for it and get it 3D printed. But you could also design something from scratch and then put that online for someone else to find it later. So if you design a fix or something like that, that is a replacement for an older part, or something like, for instance, like a little light mount or something like that, you can put that online and then other people can find it. And then that just flattens out that like democratization of information and things like that, that I think is really, really incredible, of like homemade parts and homemade things. So it's really, really cool. There's a bunch of really cool stuff with it. So does anybody have any questions about some of those projects that we talked about today, or anything else we got going on?
Rocking out. A part, and I'm going to connect with him afterwards.
Okay.
But,
yeah.
Maybe we can ask if anybody has any things that they'd like you to cover in the future.
Yeah, that's a good question. So if there's anything I'd like to talk about, or you want me to talk about in the future, I like to talk, so I'll just talk about whatever. Like, I'm just going to talk. Yeah, if you want to be interviewed and come on here, that's something that we're going to start doing regularly, is talking about your projects. So that's what this is, kind of a kickoff toward different projects so we can talk about things that you've made with CNC or 3D printing or laser cutting, woodworking, metallurgy, whatever it is. We want to start featuring all kinds of different makers to show off some of the really incredible things that are getting made out there. So if you are interested in being a part in that, like, go ahead and message us, or you can put it in the chat or something like that, and we'll reach out to you, because we would love to have people to talk about. And we've got a list going that's ongoing that we just want to keep building and keep building and connecting everyone together that's in the maker community.
And you can say that we'll be here every Tuesday at 12.
We will. That's right. So we're going to be here every Tuesday at noon. They might move around a little bit if we're doing like a special event or something like that, but the normal scheduled time for these live streams are going to be noon on Tuesdays, that we're always going to have it to chat about anything. So if you've got a problem, or if you just need an issue, or you want to see what's going on or hear about our news or something like that, you can join us and talk.
Okay, we've got a couple questions.
So, sweet.
May Johnson asks, what are the most popular 3D prints to help the M2?
That's a good thing. So the dust collection, I'd say. Oh yes, I do need to repeat it. That's right, because I can hear it, but you guys probably can't. So yeah, May asked what were popular prints for the M2, and I would say the most popular one that I've seen are dust collection related stuff. So that's been some different things that are in the marketplace as well. Like, I've printed this little fix right here that I need to get up on the marketplace, and there's some other stuff too for different ways to attach hoses to the M2, because there's so many different types of shop vacs out there and so many different types of hose diameters. The PVC pipe elbow dust collector is kind of right in the middle ground intentionally, so you can attach larger and smaller things to it. So I would say that's probably the most common one that I've seen. Yeah, there's been some router adapter clamps. So if you have a smaller router, then you can print kind of it's almost like a spacer that you can hold it in place so it'll fit inside the 71 millimeter router clamp. And same thing goes for the one, if you have like the larger one, then you can do some small adjustments and some router clamps too. I was also working on some dust collector that you can put around the router itself, so around the bit, to help like the dust to flow right back in there. I've seen some prints like that too. And then like an alignment jig too, to make sure that that bit is right in the exact center of your hole in your M2 sled. So that's an alignment one too. That's also out there.
Okay, a couple questions from Dan Connell. I'd like to see, okay, what are the hardware differences between 300 and 300X?
So there's quite a few hardware differences. So the main ones are yes, I keep forgetting. I got to repeat the question. So the main hardware differences between the 300 and the 300X. So the main ones are the extruder mechanism that allows it to print in flexible TPU. The next one is the BL touch sensor that helps with auto calibration. And then the next one is the large touch screen that's going to have an interface. So it has a 7-inch touch screen that's on it too. So those are the three big things. And we can kind of see, I can move my camera around here. So we got the screen right here, and you can see the BL touch sensor right there. And then here we have our extruder right here. So it's a dual geared extruder. Those are the three biggest changes. It also has Wi-Fi capability, which is something that the M300 doesn't have, which is awesome. So you can be able to send prints and stuff back and forth. And I would say those are the biggest changes with hardware, just to make it easier to utilize and easier to print, and to print more materials. That's the main thing that we wanted to do. And we want to make an upgrade too, so you can upgrade your M300 or any 3D printer that you might have to the auto calibration and the screen. So that's some stuff that we're working on too, so you can have that user interface with whatever 3D printer that you have, which is something that we're really excited about.
That was his next question,
Cool.
was about the upgrade.
Awesome. Yeah, sweet.
Cool. That's what we have for now.
All right, sweet. Well, it's been awesome talking to everybody. This rubber ducky isn't quite done. We can kind of like
I can play the song.
zoom in here. Yeah, play that rubber ducky song as if we got our little TPU rubber ducky that's printing. And we can see we got our flexible material. Whoop, this is why I'm getting another camera. There we go. We got our flexible material right here, so you can see it's going in the dual extruder. As we play that rubber ducky song. But here's what the ducky looks like. I printed it right before this. If we can hear it. Oh, it's Bert and Ernie. There we go. Sweet. I'm a big fan of Bert and Ernie.
Oh yeah.
I had like an Ernie bank when I was a kid. I think my mom still has.
I can't believe you haven't heard this. Maybe I need to fast forward him.
Yeah, we're chatting. Oh, is this like Splish Splash taking a bath? No? I guess it says Splish Splash on the album. You guys can hear that. Yeah, it's not jogging any memories. That's awesome. So, yeah, as we're closing it out, let's talk about some events coming up. The main thing is the Halloween contest. So that's what we got going for the rest of the month. Anything that you make, even if you make a ducky that's Halloween themed, whatever you make it, all you got to do is make it. And when you make it, then tag it with Maker Made CNC and then Maker Halloween 20 and get both those hashtags on there, and then you'll be entered to win the contest.
You win cash, right?
You win cash. How much cash do you win?
I'm not sure how much cash, but
You do win cash.
It's not a gift card.
Yeah, no gift card. It's actual cash.
It can actually be like a Visa gift card or something.
Yeah, a Visa gift card. Yeah, so you get entered to win a Visa gift card. That's in there. Yeah, and we'll be rocking and rolling. All right.
One last question from
All right,
Dan.
last question. Sweet.
Is the software upgraded to Marlin 2.0?
It is, yeah. So it is upgraded to Marlin 2.0. So it has trinamic stepper drivers, so it's silent. And the fans are the regular fans, because the silent fans you can't even tell when it's printing. So I'm a fan of having the fan noise on there, but the drivers are trinamic, so they're quiet. And then it also has power recovery on it too. So if the power goes out and then turns back on, it can restart. So yeah. All right. Well, thanks a lot, everybody, for joining us, and look forward to seeing everybody next week. And have fun making out there. All right. See you, everybody.